Good afternoon and welcome to the November 28th meeting of the Columbia Rotary Club. We're getting closer and closer to our 100th year celebration. It's a really neat thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody here on December 9th. We'll start the meeting today with the national anthem led by Rusty DePass and Jim Smith. Thank you, gentlemen. David Anderson will lead us in our invocation today.
I can't let this pass without saying that Sunday morning came and I woke up and I'm still a Gamecock, so. But I still have a lot to be thankful for. Let us pray. Almighty God, at this time of year, as we've just celebrated our first Sunday of Advent in some traditions, and we lit the candle of our Advent wreath, we remember that the meaning of that candle was the candle of hope. We hope for the world of peace and freedom from hunger for this season and beyond. We ask your blessings on this meal and our meeting. We ask for the strength to allow us to stay focused on the objectives we have for the world: peace, tranquility, a true personhood of all persons, freedom from hunger, from oppression, and from sickness, the freedom to choose our own destiny. We reaffirm our commitment to our simple Rotary four-way test for all we do and support. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build good will and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? We reaffirm our commitment to high ethics in all we do. And we give thanks for all the blessings, opportunities, and responsibilities that befall us as Rotarians. We continue in this new year to come with optimism, renewed energy, and a commitment to service to you and our fellow men and women. Please, Lord of the universe, help us to serve. Amen.
Thank you, David. It's nice to be reminded of how our faith intertwines with our work as Rotarians in so many areas of service to humankind. And David, thank you for that reminder. Joe Jones will come up to introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests.
Thank you, John. It's good to see everyone here today. We hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday season. Let's do a little bit of the four-way test, number 3. Let's build some goodwill and fellowship by standing up, and if you would. And if there's somebody that you don't know by name, please make a point of speaking to them. two local Rotarians today. Jennifer Harding from the Spring Valley Club is here, and I'm sure she would like to see you when you leave because she has some wonderful pecans and candy out there at the counter and from her Rotary Club. Jennifer, would you please stand? Thank you very much. And yes, thank you. And we have very pleasant to have a frequent visitor with us, Viva Hardy. Viva, would you stand, please? Viva is from the Columbia East Club. I do not believe that we have any Rotarians from out of town. If you have a guest, or do we have any guests here today?
I'm Carrie Powers, and my guest today is Cynthia Vincent from K2 Technology.
Morning, day back. My guest today is Warren Darby from the Power Team and Warren Crest from the Department of Commerce.
It's nice to have both of you. We hope all of you will come back and visit with us again. Okay, I believe that's it.
Thank you, Joe. Is Jonathan Milling here today? Got it. Oh, you got it? Okay. Jonathan didn't come, so Stephen Creech is going to do our health and happiness today.
Thank you, President John. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Spent a lot of time with my family. As you just became aware, Jonathan was supposed to do health and happiness today, but was unable to be here at the last minute. So I'm just filling in. Don't have a lot prepared in that regard. So please forgive me for that. But spent a lot of time with family over Thanksgiving, and it was already mentioned by Joe earlier. Think about all the blessings you have, and I think this health and happiness is a reflection of that as well. We've got some sad news to report. Audrey Brown's mother-in-law passed away last week. And life, what greater blessing do we have in life? I want to thank Blake Buchanan for sharing that with me. Otherwise, we got to look out for each other. Otherwise, we would not know that. We've got some good news to report from Alicia Connors. Her daughter, Alexa, is Columbia's professional MMA fighter. You've heard Alicia talk about her daughter a little bit before. And she just won her second professional MMA fight in Kansas City. And she is hoping to be on the Vegas card in March. So congratulations, Alicia. And I have some really, really good news to report to from one of our own members, actually from two of our own members. Today is Tom Gammon's birthday. And what better way to celebrate your birthday than to welcome a new baby granddaughter, Collins. Meredith Atkinson's daughter was born this morning at 6:15. They are both doing well, and congratulations, Tom and Meredith. I keep a folder on my desktop that says Rotary, and anytime I come across a joke that is clean enough to tell at Rotary, I stick it in that folder. And unfortunately, I didn't find out I could be doing this until today, so all those jokes are in that folder. I really wish I could have shared some of them with you today, and I'll do that another time. And I think about spontaneity and trying to be funny off the cuff, and I'm not a good joke teller at all. I can barely read a joke and deliver it well. My dad always says to me, and I'll leave you with this, there's 50,000 comedians in this world who are unemployed, and you're out there competing with them. Have a great week, and God bless.
Stephen is wonderful in that he will always fill in when we need some help. I appreciate it very much. He's also doing, yes, Bob.
How can we not mention Henry and Vance or whoever else that we got?
Oh, yeah. Henry is here today, isn't he? We'll probably see less of him, but I sure am happy for him. I do want to ask you, if you haven't done so already, fill out a ballot and John Durst is one of the people walking around right now picking them up, and in just a minute it's going to be the deadline. So to remind you, or to let those of you know who maybe haven't gone through this process before, we do this and we narrow the number of candidates down to 14, and at our next, at the December 12th meeting, 2 weeks from today, we will have the final ballot, and the board for the year 17-18 will be elected by you on that ballot. It will be narrowed down right now. This is kind of the primary, and but please get your ballots in, and John and other folks will go out there and count them for us. And we'll notify you ahead of time so you'll know who those final 7 are, or final 14 are, to be voted on at that December 12th meeting. Right now, Adam Jordan is going to come up and talk a little bit about the Rotary Foundation.
Thank you, John. And since David used this opportunity and this platform to say he's proud to be a Gamecock, I got to tell you, it's good to be an Alabama grad these days. And I know there's a lot of soon-to-be Alabama grads when Clemson gets paired against them in the national championship. So welcome back to the bandwagon, Gamecock fans. This is our third and final installment of our 2016 Foundation Overview. If you recall, in August we talked about what the foundation is and how it works. In September we talked about how I decided to give to the foundation. And then today we're going to talk about how to give to the foundation. That sounds elementary. I think you're going to be surprised at some of the options that are available to you. Quick background on the foundation. It's one of the cornerstones of Rotary International. It's one of the primary ways in which we change lives across the globe. It's celebrating its 100th year anniversary just like us. And this club has been a proud supporter for a number of years, giving over $1.4 million and have 196 Paul Harris Fellows in the club. Is the foundation a good steward of your money? We answered that question. The answer is yes. Over 92% of the monies that are given to the foundation go right to programs. It scores among the highest among charity navigators, groups that they assess for financial transparency, accountability, and just overall stewardship. We talked about the concept of leverage. The Rotary Foundation uses leverages in a meaningful way. They lever your returns, the commitments that you give for polio eradication, 2-to-1 through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They also utilize the relationships with global organizations like the World Health Organization and UNICEF to leverage your investments and the existing infrastructure that's in place so that your money goes farther. And this is a season, I think, where we're all reflecting on our blessings, all the resources that we have, and we're also thinking about additional ways that we might give. There are many ways to give to the Rotary Foundation. I haven't covered them all here. I think some of these will be a surprise to you as we go through. There are traditional ways that you would know about through your quarterly bill or through the website. You can also give in non-traditional ways, such as you can give securities, stocks, those types of things, marketable assets. There are potential tax benefits for doing so. Not a tax advisor, but we have several in this club. If you'd like to learn more about it, I'm sure they can help you. The foundation also accepts estate gifts. So you can remember the Rotary Foundation in your estate plan. We all need an estate plan. Some of us are closer to needing it than others. But before you transfer your membership in Rotary to the great Rotary Foundation in the sky, consider Rotary as part of your estate. There are also unique ways to give to Rotary and leverage other expenditures that you're making in your life. How many people here use Amazon regularly? Raise your hand. I think some people are lying. I think if my wife was given a choice between our relationship and her relationship with Amazon Prime, she would choose Amazon Prime. It's an integral part of our life, and it's an integral part of a lot of how people spend these days. There's a program called Smile, smile.amazon.com. Type that in. The motto is, you shop, Amazon gives. And what happens is, for eligible purchases, Amazon gives 0.5% of those purchases right to the Rotary Foundation. So if you think about that, it's a great way just to take advantage of the expenditures you're already making. It's no additional cost to you, and and the donations count towards your Paul Harris Fellow status. So smile.amazon.com, it looks the same as everything else that you do in Amazon. You just get to designate where those charitable contributions go, and you can make those to the foundation. There's also a credit card opportunity, and Visa has a program with the foundation where you can get a Rotary Foundation credit card. Visa will donate a portion of every expenditure to the foundation. It's at no cost to you. There are no hidden fees associated with that, and you get the same benefits that you would get from credit cards normally with cash back. They also just donate $100 to the foundation right off the bat when you open one of these cards. So I would encourage you to consider that. These are multiplier effects for the way that you're spending your money already. And finally, $26.50 is an important number for Rotary this year. Why? That was the first contribution that was ever given to the foundation in 1917 by the Kansas City Rotary Club. That led to eventually a grant in 1928 to the first grant that was ever made to the Crippled Children's Foundation, which is now Easter Seals. So what our international president is asking us to do this year is for every member to give $26.50 as a 100-year anniversary gift to the Rotary Foundation. And this ties into something we're trying to do in our club too, which is be an E-Ray club. It stands for every Rotarian every year. We've reached that in the past, sometimes by the board just allocating small amounts to members who haven't given. And I think what we're trying to do here is to make sure that every member of our club is an active giver. If you haven't been an active giver, and I've talked in the past about how I haven't been an active giver, but am now, this is a great way to step into that. This is a measured step where you can give $26.50 to the foundation, help the club reach its E-Ray status. There's a lot of symmetry in what's happening this year with the Rotary Foundation and with our club and sharing the 100-year anniversary. So I want to thank you for your attention over the last few months about the foundation. I want to thank you for your generosity to the foundation. It helps more lives than you know. Thank you.
I was driving back last night from a family vacation away from town. I stopped at a restaurant to get something to eat, and I saw a quote that I had remembered from the past, but it reminded me again, and I think it's appropriate, particularly after Adam's talk. A quotation from Winston Churchill that says, "We make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give." And I think that's really true. I think it's particularly true for this group of people. We make our lives as Rotarians by what we give, and I thank you for doing that. One of the things I'd like to spend a minute on before we get to our wonderful speaker today is I want to talk a little bit about our event on December 9th. I've had a few emails from people and a couple of questions about that event. And the questions have been generally, why does it cost $100 to come to the event? And I have explained it a couple times before, but I want to do it one more time. It is a large event. We expect to have 300 plus people there, assuming most of you come. And we're doing it in the convention center, which is an expensive place to have an event. But it's the only place big enough, or one of the few places in town big enough to have an event this size. So it is costly to do that. It will be a wonderful evening. What a great opportunity. Our club has the opportunity to have the international president come to make a presentation to a specific Rotary Club, which he does very, very little. This is a real rare opportunity to have Rotary International President at a single club event. And we'll hopefully have a lot of people from our district who will come to hear the international president. So it's going to be a great evening to meet other Rotarians, have some great entertainment. Our own Glenn Ward will be the MC for that evening, and you know that's worth coming to hear. But the other thing we're trying to do is our club has kind of dropped off the chart on giving to Polio Plus over the last 4 or 5 years. We've gotten some pressure over that, and so to try to make up for past sins, we are going to give the Rotary International President a check for somewhere between $3,500 and $5,000, depending on how many people come to the event. So a portion of that $100 will go to Polio Plus in the form of a gift to the Rotary International President. since it is his major initiative, he wants to finish, hopefully Polio Plus, or come very close to finishing it during his term as the Rotary International President. So it's something we wanted to do to honor him for coming to visit with us. So I hope that all of you will come, or as many as possible. I know there are conflicts that time of year, but it is really important for our club to have a good showing. We certainly don't want to have the international president come visit us and have a small crowd to hear him and meet him and share time with him. So I hope that you will come and be part of that. And we are going to pester you this week to make sure you respond because we really need to have all the answers in by Friday of this week so we can have everything arranged. But it'll be a great evening. You will be proud of your club. You will be proud of Rotary when you're there. So we hope that you will come and participate in that. One other thing relative to that, last week we passed out these little brochures about our centennial year and about our centennial projects. A lot of people left them on the tables. I was hoping you would take them and read them because it's important. It's important that our club is taking the initiative to do 4 significant Rotary projects during our centennial year. And we are raising money to do that. As I've said, we've already committed funds to one of those 4 projects, which was the memorial to Jack Van Loan, great American, great member of our club, great Rotarian. It was honored in 5 points with a statue, and our club made an instrumental gift to that, or a pledge for a gift to that statue. And Jack was very emotional about the fact that we as a club supported him in that. And that was a great day, and I don't know how many of you attended, but it was a wonderful event, and I was honored to be there and be part of it. But there are 3 other projects in addition to that that we are raising money for. And we are initiating, or have initiated, a fundraising effort. We're asking all of you who can make a significant gift to do so. And we are asking those who can make a significant gift or commitment early to let us know so we can include you as a sponsor of our event on December 9th. So we are pushing to get in touch with a number of people who we think might be able to make a gift of a manner that would be a sponsorship level gift. And I hope that any of you who are thinking about having your company recognized or you individually recognized as a sponsor of our event on December 9th, I hope you'll let us know that you would be so inclined and help us move that along. We would love to recognize you on the event on the 9th as a sponsor of that event. So with those things said, I'm going to move along. Are there any questions about that? I know several people have asked questions about it. Are there any other questions about it? We did move the start time up half an hour to avoid a parking problem down there because there's another major event in the center that night of 400 or 500 people that's starting at 5:30. So we moved up till 5. So we strongly recommend you get there by 5:30 if you can to avoid a traffic parking problem. We'd like to fill that lot down there next to the Civic Center with our members before the other guys get there. So hopefully you will heed that because it is difficult sometimes down that area to find parking space if there's a lot going on. So 5 o'clock start time. We'll have cocktails until 6:15. And then we will move into dinner at 6:30. And that's when the program will begin. So I hope that you can be there and join us for a great evening. And I think you will feel so good about your club if you're there participating. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us to be really excited about being Rotarians and about being members of this club. So I thank you, and I would like now to introduce Matt Kennel. Matt is a member of our club since 2002. He's a Paul Harris Fellow. And he's going to introduce our wonderful speaker today.
Thank you, John. Well, thank to say a couple of things about myself before introducing our great speaker today, so I'll do that. I am Matt Kennel. I was recruited to the club back in 2002 by the late Jim Levinas. He was head of my search committee to bring me here from Virginia, and Jim can be pretty persuasive, as you may know. So I did not say no, and it was one of the best things, one of the best gifts he ever gave to me to join this club. But I am a native of Virginia. I worked for the city of Hampton, Virginia for about 10 years after going to college at Christopher Newport University in Virginia and also Florida Atlantic University. After working there, I moved to Roanoke, Virginia. Excuse me, I was out in the yard all day yesterday with Leeds, and managed the downtown program in Roanoke, Virginia for 10 years. Was recruited to South Carolina and started up the City Center Partnership about 15 years ago with the leadership of Jim Levinas and Peter Cannon and Leona Plow and many others. But it's a real compliment to be here with you today. I do have a wife and two beautiful daughters I'm very proud of. My daughter's following my footsteps at the University of Chapel Hill, working on her MPA, and my other daughter's in pharmacy school in Charleston, so proud of them. Anyway, let me introduce our speaker today. Jeff Ruble is Director of Economic Development for Richland County, where he leads a group charged with recruiting new business and industry and supporting the companies already doing business here. At Richland County, he played a major role in attracting Jushi, which is the largest announcement in the county's history. I'll let him tell you more about that. Previously, he served as Senior Vice President for Global Business Development with the South Carolina Power Team. See, he's got some fans here with him today. Prior to the Power Team, Jeff spent 12 years recruiting companies to the Columbia region for the Central South Carolina Alliance, where he recruited companies investing more than $8 billion and creating more than 50,000 jobs. Jeff is a graduate of Winthrop College and the University of South Carolina. He recently chaired the South Carolina Economic Development Association and serves on the board of the Columbia USC Incubator. He's a member of the IEDC and the Southern Economic Development Council and has contributed many papers on regional economic development. Jeff, I'd love you to speak to our club today.
Thank you, Matt, and thanks for inviting me today. It's really a pleasure. I guess it's like Jimmy Stewart and A Wonderful Life. It's like this is my entire career. Everybody in this room, I look around, every table, it seems like I had an interaction with somebody here. So it's thrilling, and I'm impressed by the number of leaders in one room. You could get anything you want done in this state right here in this room. The bios can be misleading. I have basically been selling Columbia my entire career, so it's great to be back in this position. It's where I live. I love the place, so it's a passion of love. Let me do a quick. Let me suggest a quick agenda. Let me tell you a little bit about who we are. I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we consider strengths that really help sell Columbia. I know I'm preaching to the choir. You folks know this town inside and out. I'll talk about a few of the challenges we're facing, where I think we're going, and last I'll leave it to some question and answer. So the first question is, who are you guys? I threw up a few logos because there's a lot of economic development groups in Columbia. A lot of them do important things. So I don't want to detract from any of them, but there are a lot. I think somebody told me that between 40 and 45 different economic development organizations in South Carolina, in Columbia. In other words, you could invite an economic development speaker every week and not have to repeat it at the club. My wife had just taken a job and I came home one night and I said, I'm just getting to know all these different organizations. It seems like if you put economic development behind it, you can guarantee getting funded. And she had taken a job as general counsel at the Department of Education. She said the same thing with education. There is a proliferation of us. We are the one down at the far right corner. So we're the new guys on the block. The big guys at the top, that's Morgan Kratz, works with the South Carolina Department of Commerce. They run economic development for the state. There are regional groups, Central SC, my old employer. I-77, Richland County belongs to 2 alliances now. That's a 4-county alliance stretching up to Charlotte. There are institutional economic development groups. USC has one, it's the Department of Innovation. They have an incubator. Midlands Tech has an incubator. They have a campus, an industrial site, and flex space. There are groups, the City of Columbia has an economic development office, and all the different departments. I couldn't fit all of them on one page. They have the Eau Claire Economic Development, Matt's group, CDC, all doing great things, but there's just a lot of us. That's to try to help you understand where we are. So we are, I'm not sure what happened to my slide, but we are a small office, 2 people. We started in 2011. We started, my predecessor is a guy named Nelson Lindsay. He started literally in a broom closet over 2020 Hampton Street. We were the last major county in South Carolina to start an economic development office. That seems strange. A lot of you folks go back a ways, so some of you might even remember B.B. Cole was a little chain-smoking guy from eastern North Carolina. He worked for the railroad, and he ran the Industrial Development Commission back in the 60s and 70s. They folded that into the Columbia Chamber. The Chamber for years ran economic development. Under Joe Anderson's leadership, we started a new group, Central SC Alliance, and that group ran economic development even today. They still market for the region. The county recognized in 2010 that they needed their own office, and they had neglected a few things, specifically the development of product. So Central SC can do a lot of marketing, but they can't go out and buy industrial property, secure it, get it developed. My predecessor spent a lot of time doing just that. So we now have close to 1,000 acres at the end of Shop Road that the county has purchased. We have water and sewer. We're running Shop Road extension through it. That's the kind of blocking and tackling you have to do if you want to be successful. And we have been successful. Matt mentioned Jushi. It's a $400 million, 800 job plant that's coming to the area. The groundbreaking's on December the 8th. It's a large Chinese facility. It's the largest capital investment in Richland County since Union Camp came in back in the 80s. That's the kind of thing that can happen when there's a concerted effort to do the hard work before the prospect ever shows up. A second area that's really essential, and we're just getting it up and running, is an existing industry program. We have to have folks out talking to manufacturers, find out what's going on here in our community. There's no telling how many closures or expansions have come and gone, and we didn't know anything about it. We are housed at the Capitol Center. Again, 2 staff, trying to grow to 5. A good budget, enough for us to do a lot of things. We sell Columbia, and I know you guys know Columbia inside and out. I've kind of been giving this presentation to some of our council members because I think a lot of what we sell we take for granted. For instance, government. We usually call it a government town. When I was working at statewide level, I heard people in Greenville, Spartanburg, Charleston all run Columbia down saying it's a government town. Well, government has assets. So military, you have 6,000 people out there at Fort Jackson. They pump out 45 people a month into the economy. Folks looking for jobs, a lot of them great discipline, great technical skills. McIntyre has 1,250 people at it, 300 technicians. Shaw Air Force Base, I guess it's Shaw Base now, has the 3rd Army. It's one of the U.S. government's largest defense installations in the country. And you think about it, it's only 15 miles from the Richland County border. A lot of those people live here in the community. Those are huge assets for us. State government, 25,000 workers. And you think, well, they're state government workers, but those are scientists, they're lawyers, they're engineers. They're bright people, and they all contribute to our community. USC, 8,000 faculty. The student population is up to 34,000 people. And they've contributed a lot. The first go-around when I was selling Columbia, I went away, sold the state for 10 years. I came back and I was really surprised and pleasantly surprised at how much the university's changed. The McNair Aviation Center is something to behold. That's something that we can sell. The Center of Innovation, the business school, they are doing some great things at the university that we should be able to take advantage of. More assets. Again, things we take for granted. I remember recruiting a company in from Minneapolis, and they hired a new plant manager. I was with my old colleague, a guy like Mark Simmons, Steve, you remember? And Mark and I were talking to this guy, and he says, yeah, I've got a son, he's 16. He said, we went sailing on Lake Murray. We camped out on the islands over the weekend. He said, we've been whitewater rafting and trout fishing. He said, we camped out in the Congaree National Park one night. He said, it's just a terrific community. We love this place. And Mark said, you know, I've been here 20 years. I've never done any of that stuff. We take for granted all the assets. There are 3,000 counties in the country, and only 50 of them have a national park. We have one. Columbia's assets. We have terrific infrastructure. We're one of 11 cities in the country with 3 interstates crisscrossing it. We have a good hub-spoke program with our highways. The surface of the roads might not be great, but the infrastructure is there. We have the best water sewer system in the state. When commerce is looking to bring big, heavy product process industry, they come to us first. We've made bold investments. I'm naturally physically very tight. I'm real conservative physically. I wake up some days and look in the paper and see, oh gosh, we passed another bond bill, and I cringe. But in a lot of ways, though, that's been good. We've invested in our libraries, in our schools, our roads. SCAN has invested in a nuclear power plant. Those are all huge investments that a lot of places have deferred that. They've pushed that off, and they're going to have to make those investments sooner or later. We're incurring those costs now, and I think we'll reap the benefits in the future. Last, Columbia has changed before my eyes. When I first started selling Columbia, we were 15,000 or 16,000 students at the university. It's over 34,000 now, so it's almost doubled right before our eyes. 40,000 new people moving downtown. I think I stole one of Matt's slides for that. In 2030, we'll have more than 1 million people just in Richland County. So in the next 10 years, we're going to double the population. The centers of growth, you see them around town. Olympia, whoever would have thought that would be a hip place to be. Bull Street, North Main is growing. It's just popping up all around, a lot of density. It's an exciting place to be. One of the trends in economic development is not just recruiting smokestacks, it's making the community a great place, and so that people want to move here. And if you have people that want to live here, the companies will find you. We're becoming that community. Columbia has a few challenges. I mentioned the 3 legs on the stool: university, state government, federal government. That sometimes can lead to complacency. I've recruited to the Greenville-Spartanburg area for a number of years. It's a blood sport there. Here, at times, I don't think we've taken economic development quite as seriously as we ought to. Richland County, as I mentioned, is late to the game. We're just now kind of getting our legs up under us and starting to recruit better. I anticipate we can be very competitive in the next 10 to 15 years. Moreover, if you look at the neighboring communities, so Charleston, Boeing, Volvo, Mercedes, they've run out of labor. Greenville, every year BMW would do an expansion up there. A couple of years back, they did a $1 billion expansion. They basically built another manufacturing plant, and with it, they brought like 45 suppliers on with it. They're pretty much out of folks up there too. We're in the right spot. We are going to be successful in the next 10 to 15 years. I mentioned the business retention and expansion program. I'm going to hit on one of our other challenges, and it'll really come home for that. Fractured leadership. I sound like I'm being critical. I had all those logos. They all have their own boards, their own funding. There's a lot of overlap. There's conflict, people fighting for funds. It's not efficient. It can be done better. I think there's groups looking at that now. The one thing I don't want to do is keep creating new organizations that keep doing economic development. I think maybe some consolidation could occur. Bureaucracy, taxes. Our county, I love the folks there, but we're not rated real high when it comes to being business friendly. The latest ratings had us getting a D, I think. Taxes. We, as a state, have the highest property taxes in the country. This is just an example of what a manufacturing plant would come in. The Enterprise campus is part of the city of Columbia. As you can see, we're double a lot of our competition in neighboring cities in the southeast. But we don't just compete poorly with the southeast. Columbia has the highest property tax rates in South Carolina. You can see we're substantially higher than all the communities we compete against on a normal basis. So that presents some major issues for us in two facets, I guess. One, if I bring a company in like Jushi, we're going to offer major incentives. The guys I'm worried about are the guys that aren't getting incentives. I saw this and I was worried. You remember back in the late 60s when people were just flocking out of Detroit? They had the riots and that sort of thing. I was worried, oh my gosh, companies are just going to start flocking out of Richland County because of the taxes. I went to lunch with a lawyer friend of mine. He said, no, it's probably not going to be that. He said, it's probably going to be more like the toad boiling. You know the old story, you boil the water, throw the frog in there, he's going to jump out if the water's boiling. But if you turn it up gradually over time, the frog will boil. I'm worried that that's what will happen. You'll have a 20,000 square foot tenant. Martin's in the real estate business on the side of the road off of Bluff Road. And when the decision comes, do we expand here? Or do we go to Calhoun County, or do we go to Huntsville, Alabama? The decision will increasingly be not in Richland County. The taxes are too high. So that's a concern. I know there's a group working on that. But it's something for us to understand. That's a major challenge for our community. Where we're headed. I mentioned doubling the population. The strains, imagine the demand on the water sewer is going to double. Demand on the roads are going to double. Demand on government services will double. But that's going to change the way we see Columbia. Increasing diversity, all you have to do is look at the national demographics. There are going to be more folks speaking different languages, more folks from different places all move in here. You drive around the university, you start to see it now. Increased density in the city, I think that's a positive thing. I think that's going to make that vibe, make it a better place to be downtown. Less manufacturing, more services. That's one area that Columbia competes really well on. We've been blessed with a lot of IT talent and insurance services. I think that's where we'll really have to show some success over the future. One item that Bernie Maybank can speak volumes on is our inability as a community to incent white-collar jobs. It's something that I know Bernie's been fighting with. The Economic Developers Association has been taking it up. Hopefully the new tax commission will look at it hard. But the idea is that only the state can really recruit white jobs. Counties are interested only in property taxes. And one of the great things, we're young. Sometimes you forget it, but the average age of Richland County is 28. The national average is 37. And they're projecting that it'll continue to be young. So I say we have challenges. We have a lot to be excited about. I really think that this community is going to be successful over the next 10, 20 years. This last slide I threw up here, I don't know if I just didn't understand the level of leadership here. I was going to say you need to get more involved in politics, you need to get more involved in leadership, and I'm preaching to the choir. You folks are the ones that have driven this community. Let me just reinforce that message. If you wake up, you look in the paper, and you're upset with the Recreation Commission or the Election Commission or the story that was in the paper this morning, don't point the finger at somebody else. Look in the mirror. You are a leadership. Get involved. Run for office. If you don't want to run for office, find somebody to run. But get behind it. Let's make the change. I think Columbia is changing for all the right reasons. I think it's going the right direction. And I just want to make sure everybody here is pulling in the same direction so that we can make sure the changes are made in the right direction. So I think that's all I had. I hope that was quick enough. Do we have time for questions?
We have time for questions.
Yes, sir.
I've heard that when companies look at our area, they consider things like the schools, cultural opportunities like the Philharmonic museums, that sort of thing. Do they consider traffic, automobile traffic, and if so, how high on their scale of importance is that?
Yeah, I think quality of life is a big issue, and I don't know that you can really put a measure on that. From a road standpoint, I think we all take it for granted that we can get to work and back. I live in Shandon. It's 10 minutes to work for me. I love it. Increasingly, that's not the case in communities. Warren and I were working to recruit Volvo back when they came to Berkeley County. And our colleagues at Santee Cooper, a lot of them commuted from Moncks Corner down to Charleston. And they knew they were digging their own grave by putting Volvo out there. Increasingly in Charleston, you just can't get anywhere. And that becomes a decision factor, absolutely. The schools here are good, and I think that's a major asset for us, particularly compared to other cities our size. This is a place where you can send your kid to public school and feel confident with it.
Hey, David. Thanks for coming. Richland County Council, they know these facts. Do you see anything happening at the council level where they're going to begin to try to make the process of permitting and costs and other things more reasonable? I mean, is there some momentum in the council to do that?
Carl Blackstone with the Columbia Chamber and Boyd Jones, some of those guys have convened some groups. They have one task force working just on permitting and regulations, trying to make it easier to do business in the community. Another group is looking at cost. And in that group, they brought all the heads of the school districts, all the council people, anybody involved with making those funding decisions in the room, and they brought these exact charts up for them to help them understand.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
What is the alternative to the high property taxes? I mean, would you have sales tax? Would you cut services? I mean, what do you do to get property taxes down?
Well, the simple solution is reform the whole tax code, and we could hire Bernie Maybank to do that for us.
For a few shekels, though, wouldn't it?
One of the big issues that's being discussed now is Act 388, which limits the ability to raise the value of a home. The problem with that act, in my humble opinion, is that you have a lot of bond bills go through where people voted for new schools out in Richland too. It's great we had the new schools, but they haven't borne the burden of that. That burden's been shifted on the commercial and industrial users. Yes, sir.
The taxes in Richland County for the county are almost exactly what they are for Charleston and Greenville. The taxes for the city of Columbia are almost exactly what they are for Charleston and Greenville. The school district taxes are almost double what they are in Charleston and Greenville. That's where the large increase is.
Give us some idea of some companies in the pipeline without giving names. Describe the kinds of companies that might move fish.
Yes, sir. There's 2 or 3 areas I think we can be real successful. One is white collar. The business school, we've always talked about a great international business program. The undergraduate program is excellent as well. We've had a company come in and say, hey, we want to hire every personnel, HR, accountant, folks we can get our hands on. One group is already here. PricewaterhouseCoopers is doing just that now. So I know we'll be successful recruiting some of those folks, white collar jobs, young professionals. The other is manufacturing. So I wouldn't say we've ignored it, we just haven't been as good as we could be. If you look at the number of manufacturers in a county, Greenville by far away is number 1 in the state. Spartanburg's number 2. Last time I checked, we were either 3 or 4. So the idea that we're not a manufacturing town is wrong. We are a manufacturing town, and we can recruit manufacturing. We can be very successful at it. If you walk through a parking lot at FN Manufacturing, it looks exactly like the parking lot in Anderson and Greenville.
You saying we have more manufacturing jobs in Charleston, North Charleston?
I think they might be overtaking us with Boeing and the 2 big announcements, Volvo and Dama. Yes, sir. Mr. Derrick.
Jeff, who do you work for? In other words, who do you have to report to Richland County Council? Bless your heart. On any kind of regular basis, or I mean,
Yes, sir. I report directly to the county administrator. His name is Gerald Seals, but I have an economic development committee comprised of 3 people: Paul Livingston, Damon Jeter, and the chair of council, Tory Rush. Yes, sir.
Can you address the Carolina Crossroads project? Isn't that malfunction, isn't that what they're calling it, malfunction judgment?
Is that the name for it? And I'm not as up to speed on the penny tax programs. I'm vaguely aware of it, but I can't speak specifically to it. I'm sorry. I wish I could.
I want to thank Jeff. I've known him for a long time since I've been here, and we've worked a few projects together, and this guy does a lot for our county. I'm glad he's back doing what he's doing now. It'll be a great help to Richland County. Jeff, thank you for what you do, and thank you for being here today. John just gave me a little piece of advice here. He said, ask all the past presidents to meet right over here at this table after the meeting. If you would do that, we got some election information to go over. So if you will do that, we appreciate it. We'll end with, Carrie, tell us about next 12th, I guess, December.
So December 12th, we have Congressman Wilson will be with us next week, for 2 weeks from now on the 12th, yes. So we'll look forward to his remarks.
Okay, great. I know there'll be a big crowd here to hear that. So thank you, Congressman, for being here with us on the 12th. Okay, we'll end in song.